In today's episode, let's talk about wrong data. Data that is wrong, that is incorrect. I was having a discussion last week with some colleagues about web analytics data being wrong. What was showing up in the web analytics did not at all match what was in the CRM or the marketing automation system or this or that. And all these systems have different data. There's always a variance. It's very rare to see a company that does not have variances in their data. Why is that? Well, there's a bunch of different reasons. For example, ad blockers that can prohibit a system from recording data. There's VPNs. There's all sorts of secure browsing environments. There's all these different ways that people can obscure their data. When I worked at the old PR agency I used to work at, we had one client that was in the cybersecurity industry. They had almost no web analytics data. Why? Because their entire audience was cybersecurity professionals that basically had fortresses around their computers. So you could collect nothing. You could collect absolutely nothing. Their web analytics was just one big question mark. But that got to the discussion of I think a critical point about data. It's okay for data to be wrong, particularly numeric data. It's okay for data to be wrong if it's reliably wrong. What do I mean by that? If what's in your web analytics system, say, is 20% off from what's in your CRM, but it's always 20% off in the same direction, then directionally you can still use your web analytics to forecast, right? You just have to adjust it for 20% because for whatever reason, what's in your CRM will always be 20% higher than what's in your web analytics. That is what we call reliably wrong data. And reliably wrong data is a good thing. It's kind of like a car where, it just pulls to one side. And the moment you get behind the wheel, you just have to put a little extra pressure on the wheel and drive the car that way, and it will go straight. And it is reliably wrong. That's fine. Where we run into trouble is when things are unreliably wrong, where the variance is different day to day. So maybe your web analytics is off 20% today, but tomorrow it's off 2%, and the next day it's off 5%. The next day it's exactly on target. When that happens, when it's unreliably wrong, you can't forecast. You can't map trends. You can't make decisions from it because you don't actually know what the value is. So when you're diagnosing your data, either by yourself or with the help of AI, you've got to first answer the question, is the data wrong? By how much? And is it reliably wrong? If you can identify that your data is reliably wrong, then you can determine what the exact variance is, you're off to the races. You're good to go. If your data is unreliably wrong, no amount of modeling or forecasting or anything is going to fix that problem because it's fundamentally broken. So keep that in mind as you're starting to work with your data. Reliably wrong data is okay. Unreliably wrong data is useless. That's going to do it for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to know when new videos are available, hit the bell button to be notified as soon as new content is live.